time to go. So that was it for the Master of Unlocking podcast. The cat has rang and said it's time to go.
All right, see you
So
later.
that was it. All right. Good night, boys. Oh wait,
Good night.
shit. That was backwards. I guess we're doing this again. All right, from the top. Welcome to the
Okay,
Master of
so do we
Unlocking
start with
podcast.
did we start with TV and then work our way to fast food then?
Oh god,
I don't know.
the
if I can-
agenda's all jacked up now. Everything's crazy. It's a bit messed up world. I do feel like we have to get right to this fast food thing because
Okay.
oh my god, the bacon garlic butter burger from Sonic was quite possibly the worst burger I've ever had in my entire life. That thing was trash.
It was very bad. Very, very, very bad. I was thinking for a minute that you were gonna say that it was good.
No, it was so bad. I almost threw it away. Like it was supposed to have grilled onions on it. Mine were just straight up like chopped onions, like
Yep.
raw onions. Could barely get the taste off of them. I'm not an onion guy. I'll eat a grilled onion, but a raw onion.
There were a ton of onions on that thing too.
Yeah.
Just a handful of them, and it wasn't even like the rings of onions. It was chunks, big chunks of onion, of raw onion on a burger. It was gross.
I had to take the garbage out and then put Lysol the garbage can, and like this was like overnight. This thing just it ruined my trash. My whole kitchen was destroyed. Multiple candles were lit. It was a problem.
Did you guys go junior or regular?
I went regular.
Junior.
Okay.
They had the app had a half off thing. That was the only reason.
I went regular as well because of the app thing.
Mhm.
Yes. It was the same price for the junior, so I went full. Yeah.
Yep.
Was it the strong, like you get raw onion, which is stronger than a caramelized onion,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
Then you've got this garlic butter stuff that is like salt goo.
Didn't taste it. Didn't even feel like it was there.
Oh, really?
No.
I thought so that's what's different for me. Maybe they put more of this garlic butter on mine, because my wrapper was soaked in garlic butter.
Really?
Yes, like the outside of the wrapper was moist. Like I put it on my island, and there was a layer of garlic butter sauce underneath the wrapped up burger.
Yeah, I don't think they put anything on mine.
So the garlic butter actually for me overwhelmed the onion to the point where I didn't even notice it. And so I don't think I had as unpleasant of an experience with this as you guys did. It was fine, in my opinion. I didn't hate it. It was fine. I would once again give it a 5. Fine.
I got the junior, and I was literally like 3/4 of the way through it before I even realized there was bacon on it, because
oh no,
the onions, it was just mouthful after mouthful of onions.
I took the onions off, and then I replaced it with more mayonnaise to try to help it out a little bit. My burger was very burnt as well.
No, we've got I think what we've got here is a failure to reproduce faithfully here. Like we've got different experiences and different style. I guarantee I don't think you guys would have hated what I had, but I think mine was prepared correctly. Other than like they're like, well, I guess we got this garlic stuff, so let's just. Like they must have known it was me.
The lid just fell off.
This guy orders 5 ranches and 300 mustards every time he comes here. We'll give him all the sauce that we have. Just put it on there. Yeah, that must be.
I like a regular Sonic burger. I just had a bad burger experience in general.
If your burger was cooked incorrectly, like that's the end of it. Like even if your portions were correct and they actually grilled your onions, your burger's still.
The main piece of the thing is just trashed. So, yeah.
Yeah. Put a slice of roast beef on it. Call it prime rib, and give it a 4 out of 5.
All right, there we go.
I mean, 10.
This isn't the worst thing I've ever eaten, so I'll give it a 2. I'll go with 2.
I'm gonna go with 2 as well.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't gag on the thing. I finished it, but I was also very hungry.
I didn't hate it. I honestly I didn't hate it.
I felt like my
But
burger
mine was
might have
cooked
been
properly.
my burger might have been underdone, if anything. It was the texture on it was almost like eating a White Castle burger, where it was like very like mushy.
Mm.
So that combined with like the chunky, hard onions, it was a really, really bad combination.
Okay, now I'm curious. When
And
did we all go? I went Friday night.
Thursday night.
Monday lunchtime.
Okay.
No, sorry, we Tuesday. I apologize. Tuesday.
All
It
right.
was
Maybe
literally the
Either way,
following
we
day.
went different days.
maybe the
Yep.
lunch crew is better at assembling these burgers.
I don't know. I would want at meal time. I would want someone who could do everything well. But that's you know what? That's the game we play with this segment.
Mm-hmm.
It's fast food. So
You never know what you're gonna get. It's supposed to be standardized, but I don't know.
Mhm.
Gosh, does anyone have a recommendation for this week? Caleb,
I do,
you are
yeah.
okay. Good. I have not
Yeah.
seen anything
Well, first of all, I was watching football today.
new. I
as
was too. Yeah.
That's how we come up with these,
yeah,
right?
there you go. Yeah.
And Pizza Hut came up with a commercial, and they're advertising the Tastemaker. So I'm like, oh, that's
yeah.
interesting. I
Mhm.
wonder what a Tastemaker. A Tastemaker is just a large pizza. That's literally all it is.
It's like a large pizza with 3 toppings, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's literally the exact same thing. So that's out. But Wendy's they're calling it the new original chicken sandwich. I don't know how you can be new and original, but they're claiming it is.
Considering our affinity for Chick-fil-A on this podcast
Mm-hmm.
and now KFC, I think it's time that we go to Wendy and we see what makes it quote unquote new and how it is.
I mean, you love the Burger King, the abomination.
Oh my
So-
God, the chicken boat.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started on the chicken boat.
I know how much you love your chicken boat.
In the app, $5. 2 of them, 2 small fries, $5.
That's not bad.
Dude, it's dangerous, is what it is. I
Mhm.
could eat it every day for lunch. That's a bleep ton of food for we swear on this podcast. Sorry,
Yeah,
but
it's fine. You can figure it out of yourself whenever.
It's just like, man, those I love. Oh, it's I don't even. I'm pretty sure it's not even chicken meat. I don't know how you stretch a chicken out and shape it like that, but it's so good.
The also of note, our Taco Bell on College is out of Xbox cups. Just in case you were trying to go and get a code for a Xbox, they are out of medium and larges.
That's not going to stop their marketing team from running it at every commercial break on the World
Nope,
Series.
they sure won't, because they are out. I was like, I went last night. I was like, really? Wait, this is what I get, a standard cup? All right. Well,
Were you that guy too?
I didn't ask because I looked up and I looked in because I was like, both cups, medium and large. Okay, all right, well.
Caleb Logan rolls through the drive-through. He doesn't say anything. He's like, I'll be a nice guy. He looks in and they're literally just handing Series X's over the counter to people, just one at a time. He's just like looking through the window. What have I done?
I mean, the odds are like incredibly terrible to win, but my daughter we were like, my wife wanted Chipotle, and the girls don't like Chipotle for whatever reason. So they went the step below and went Taco Bell. That was I gave them multiple options. I was like, here, you guys want to do multiple stuff here? And they said, nope, Taco Bell. So I went through the drive-through Taco Bell. I was like, well, I'll get a combo. I get a drink, get myself a chance here. Nope. No more chances.
How do you do the Burger King PS5 thing? Is that on a cup or is
I
that
think it's in the app. I think you have to order via the
okay.
app. So I think you get a code once you order in the app. It's a weird kind of thing, but it seems like you have to do some specific order on the app.
Okay.
You can tell how well Taco Bell is doing by the way their app gives you no deals, no promotions compared to everything else. Like the Taco Bell app is like
Also, Taco
Nope.
Bell's pretty cheap to start with, so I'm not sure
That's
they
true.
like their goal is like we don't need to run a deal. We'll come up with something every month that's really dumb that you'll come in and try.
That's a good point. And they give you say what you will about those $5 boxes. It is a crap ton of food that
Oh,
they
yeah.
give you for $5 and a drink. So
Mhm.
you're
They
right.
literally. I ordered it the other day, and the $5 box, whatever the current one is, it literally on their website just has in giant words sodium warning on the $5 box.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Wow. I want to
I'm
open
not
up the app and look.
surprised. It's because that
I don't know if
thing.
it's on the app. I looked on the website.
My
so it
daughter
might
wanted the
be.
$5 box last night, and because she likes the grande stacker thing, she tried mine the other day when I got it, and yeah, it's literally just like a tortilla, beef, nacho cheese, tortilla, beef, nacho cheese, tortilla. Like that's all it is. It's good, but
Yeah.
and then two tacos with it. So which she didn't eat the other two tacos with it, but that's fine. So yeah. So all right. So we're going Wendy's new original chicken sandwich for next week. All right. I was a little nervous about what we were gonna do. I didn't have anything ready. I was like, oh, I didn't know what was new this week. So
Sweetie, don't ever concern
I
yourself
know.
with that.
I
Yeah.
was
We'll
more.
figure it out.
We'll always
Yeah.
have something we can fall back on, just to be like, all right, let's go back and evaluate this. Okay. All right, that's fair. All right, well, let's get into the games this week. So, Jason, you played that Star Wars Squadrons game. Do you have some feelings on that game?
I don't know where are we with this podcast and our hot takes. I'm gonna have to control myself here.
No. Do not control yourself. I want the hottest of the hot takes,
yes.
please.
That game. Oh boy. All right. This is what I would
'Cause
say.
we
if
both
we
played it.
Yeah.
This is what I would say if we were going to control ourselves here. I would say I don't have anything nice to say about that game, so I probably shouldn't say anything at all. Okay. But instead, I will say that game is trash. It is freaking terrible. I got caught on the same bug 4 times in a row,
Bug?
and I stopped playing. Bug, B-U-G, bug. And if I wanted to shoot things that I can't see on my screen in a tiny little red reticle from super far away and have that be fun, sure, if that's what you're into. You got to be a real big Star Wars fan to want to enjoy any of this. My follow your leader happened both in a TIE fighter and in an X-Wing. I would follow him, and then you'd start doing this.
I had that happen once. I
Had
did.
that happen
4
as well.
times in a row.
Mhm.
Where are we going? What are we doing? Okay, hey, wait, buddy, where are you going? All right, I'm following you.
And they would just float.
Wait, where are you going? And then I'd zoom back out, and he's just like, I'm like, okay, it says follow him. Well, okay, reset checkpoint. Oh, I got past that part. Follow your leader. Reset checkpoint. Got past it. All right, surely this can't happen again. Follow your leader. Oh, thank God I got through that mission. Reset checkpoint. Okay, it must have been just the mission. Do I need to take an update? No, it's updated. Okay, all right. Whew. It's fine. I'm in a TIE fighter now, so this is gonna be good. It's gonna be all right. Follow your leader. I was like, this is not only is this game not fun, but I'm not gonna do this anymore. And back to GameFly it went.
How many missions in were you?
2.
2.
2.
You actually got farther than me then. I played the tutorial and I was like, this is not for me.
Game sucks.
I played 8.
Why? That game sucks. Good for you, Logan, if you enjoyed it that long. Because I didn't. When it did work, I thought it sucked. Anyway, so sorry, not for me. I apologize to all the Star Wars fans out there, but it's not the fiction that's broken; it's the game.
Yeah. Game.
Yeah, it's definitely like we are not the audience for this game. None of us play flight sims ever, and none of us are huge Star Wars fans either. So,
which is why I think like I shouldn't. Like in fairness, it's not really fair for me to go that hard on it because I wasn't going to enjoy it really anyway. But I really, to be fair, like I couldn't play it because it broke.
Hey, but you know what? Hey, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was good.
True.
That was a good game.
It was. Yeah, that was on my top 10 last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that was a good game.
It was good.
Yeah. So hey,
Some may say
we
it
don't
was
hate
one
Star
of the
Wars.
top 10 games of
I
2019.
believe it was. Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well, after that annoying game is over with, does anybody else have anything new they played, or was everybody else just? I think we've all been playing, just getting caught up, right? Um.
Um, I played Paper Mario. I guess that's not
Oh wait,
new,
yeah,
but
Oh yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
But
Do
it's
tell.
new to you.
yeah, it's new to me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I borrowed that from a friend he's like, yeah, I got halfway through and I don't know if I like this game. I'm like, well, let me borrow it before you sell it.
Mm,
So um I am really enjoying that game a lot.
mm-hmm.
Um, there's like 5 kind of objectives to do, and I'm through 2 of them, so almost halfway, I think. Um, it's the combat system they have is really really fun. It's basically like Mario's in the middle of a circle there, and there are 5 circles surrounding him.
Mm-hmm.
And then it will put enemies on that circle, and you can attack either with your boots in a straight line, or you can attack with a hammer in a small area. So you are given like X number of moves. Sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 3. Um, to rotate those 5 circles around you, so that you can line up the enemies in a straight line, or you can group them together as close as possible. So you do all of that, and then you pick which weapon you want to use, and then execute it. And so every single uh, combat encounter is a mini puzzle, which I really really like.
Hmm.
I'm curious if that's ever going to get old or not, because I could see that getting old after a while, but so far it has not. And then when you get to boss fights, they add in other stuff to that too. They add in arrows where you move around in certain ways, and power ups and all kinds of stuff like that. So those battles are really really fun. I like the boss battles quite a bit. The only negative thing I would say about it so far is that it is really handholdy, especially in the beginning. You do your first battle and it kind of teaches you what to do, and you're like, all right, I get it now. And then you go into the second battle and they say, let's recap what we learned last time, and it's basically
Mm.
the exact same tutorial again, which is real kind of annoying. But once you're actually into the game, it kind of takes the leash off a little bit, and lets you experiment. And I think it's really fun.
Mario games do tend to do that a little more, I think, because of the
Yeah.
audience. So I mean, if you're gonna have a 8 to 12-year-old kid picking that up and playing it, that's a more of a casual gamer, that might be why that
Yeah.
is to get them a little more. Hey, teacher's gonna double check with you here on this one, kind of thing. So that makes sense. But well, I'm glad you're liking it. I've never played a Paper Mario game. This is like what, the third or
Yeah.
fourth
I
Paper Mario game?
I had not played a Paper Mario before this either. So I think this is the third one,
There was
somewhere
that
in there.
because yeah, there was a Paper Mario on Super Nintendo, right? And then
I don't know if there was one on Super Nintendo. I
or was
think
that Super Mario RPG that I'm
that was
thinking of?
RPG. I think the GameCube one was the first one.
That was a Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door was what that was called. And I believe there was one on a DS.
I know there was one on Wii U because nobody liked it.
Mm.
But this is my first one, and I am enjoying it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Logan, do you
But
think that you'll play
that's
that?
literally the only thing I've been playing.
I doubt it.
Okay.
It's been out since, probably early this,
July.
yeah, July. Yeah, I thought it was
It
maybe
came
earlier
out.
in there.
It actually came out the same day as Ghost of Tsushima, which is why I skipped it originally.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Uh,
let us know how that goes, because
mm,
I mean, if you feel super strongly about it as you play it, then I
mhm,
suppose we should consider that. So
yeah. Hmm. I'd maybe look at that this week. Though since I don't have much going on this week for game wise, I've been playing Hades still. So I have beat Hades the first time.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, I mean, well, I can't really. I don't want to spoil things for Jason either, so be
well,
careful.
I've already kind of told Jason that, hey,
Okay.
like this is expect this, so this way you're not just getting waylaid into it. So after you beat Hades, spoilers, there you don't actually beat Hades. There is you have to beat Hades 10 times. so to see
Yeah.
credits. So since I've had not much to play, I've continued playing Hades. I'm 5 clears in. Uh, the most recent clear I've had, story is getting good.
Oh,
Yeah, there's some stuff going on with that story I
it
would
actually irritates me more, I think.
that I would say is quite annoying. Like the fact that they've hidden this behind all this stuff, but at the same time, I guess they're trying to entice you to use the other weapons. You don't have to. They're trying to entice you to do all this other stuff, but I mean, I was using the spear and now I'm using the sword almost exclusively because there's a Daedalus upgrade that you can get pretty quickly that is um, gain 2 life points for every attack, and you basically just mow, like you never lose health if you just keep attacking. So I mean, ultimately at the end of by the time I fight Hades, I'm coming in with 4 death defiances and ending with 2, sometimes 1, depending on how aggressive I'm being. But I've found a consistent way to make that game not suck. Although at the same time, it's 35 to 40 minutes still to run that thing. So I got 5 more to do. I don't know if I could probably easily pull up a YouTube video, watch what happens, and call it a day. But I got nothing better to do, so I'm just like I sat there this afternoon, was like, well, I'll just throw some football on and sit and do this. So I did 2 clears just while I was watching the Chiefs Broncos game because that was not entertaining at all. But because the Chiefs won by like 40, but hey, it was something to do. My kids were over at a friend's house. I was like, well, what else am I going to do this afternoon?
Yeah, I since we really didn't talk about it last time, when I beat Hades the boss, well, first of all, going into that, I every other boss in the game has the 1 health bar. And the second that Hades kneeled down and then gained all of his life back in a second health bar, I was pretty peeved at that. That's a pet peeve of mine. I hate that in games when a boss gets it all its health back. Hate that. It's the worst.
Says the Souls fan.
That doesn't happen in Souls.
Oh, it totally happened with the big ape on Sekiro.
Oh, okay, but that's okay. Fair enough.
He's like, oh shit. Technically not a Souls game though. It's a From Software game.
Yeah, and also technically a second boss, a separate boss, not the same one. But
he is a different type of that. It's not the same boss, right? I mean, it's a different moveset and all that crud.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. But so I was already kind of irritated at that game, and then I beat him for the second time, and then it just puts me back at the beginning of the game. So I was pretty irritated at that, and I looked up, how to get the actual ending and saw that you have to clear it 10 times, and I'm like, screw this game. That really really irritated me. I did not like that at all.
I have sunk more hours into that than I would like to admit.
I think that there's something novel for Logan as he goes through one of these truly for the first time and continues to replay it. Caleb, you have played a few of these and continued to run them, right? A few games like this. And so it could be just where all of us are at individually with that genre. Like that might be because I think we all agree that, do we all like to play it? Do we all think it's a good game to play?
Yeah, I think Hades is a fun game to play. Yes, that's for sure.
But
so then you have to
and now knowing that they've buried some of that story stuff so far in, that's also another layer of frustration for me.
I wonder if they've identified the people that play this game though and have said, we are going to serve you best, rather than people that play a little bit of everything like us. Like maybe because
there's a speedrunning community behind this. There's
gamers that like these kind of games. Like they could probably get to Hades in under 10 runs, probably. Like if you like these kind of games and this is something that a genre you seek, And so they probably, I understand the frustration, Caleb, and trust me, because it probably will mean that I won't see this all the way through, me personally.
Mhm.
Um, but I think they Supergiant knows what they're doing and who they're targeting, and if they alienate a few people along the way, like, well, you played our game,
Yeah, it
so
You
just
gave us
it,
25
it makes
bucks.
me feel, yeah, it makes me feel like, so I mean it's a really hard game. I
Very hard.
mean there's no getting around that. And so when you get to the final boss, you feel like you've made a huge accomplishment. And then it feels like they're just taking your huge accomplishment and saying, yeah, you did nothing there. Nope. We're not respecting that you did anything significant. Do it again and again and again. Like that,
Do it 10 times, damn it.
right. And the reward you get for it, like you do get a thousand of the purple, whatever they're called.
dark.
Dark
Yeah,
crystals
the
or whatever,
dark.
but I've already spent
But
all of them.
I mean, yeah, it's not really that, a thousand of that's not that
I need
significant.
more Titan blood,
So
damn it. That's what I need.
yeah.
Yeah, it's and the thing is even once you've beat him multiple times, I'm just getting more dark, like, and more random stuff that I don't need. But the way that they're telling the story now, like it pisses me off that it's good, like that I want to keep going with it. And it is exactly what you said. Like, I shouldn't have to go through all of this. Like, there should be at least like I should get a perk that's like, yep, skip, at least skip the fates. Like, just let me skip
Yeah.
that fight. I don't, or not the fates, the furies. Yeah, like
You
let me.
start on the second level or something like
Right,
that. Like
like,
make it something where I feel like, oh, okay, well, it's gonna be
mhm.
way easier this time then.
Yeah, because all I'm doing is just running those first two levels now just to get the boons. Like, and the really nothing. I don't have to start really worrying about anything or thinking about any. I can probably play that game pretty nonchalantly up until the third level now. Like, just because I've gotten to the point where I know what I'm doing now, I can just kind of like just do. I've got the motions down of what I need to do to survive those first three. So, mm, just weird, but I don't know. We'll see if how much I continue playing this. I've got a whole you know, 4 days or whatever until something else new comes out. So we'll see if I
Yeah.
survive and if I can get 5 more runs done in that time frame. So, any other games been plugging away at over there? Either of you guys?
Not for me.
Hades, and Spiritfarer.
Yeah.
We'll see how. Um, for me right now, it's hard for me not to play Hades over Spiritfarer.
Hmm.
So, um, I think I will finish Spiritfarer before the end of the year, but Hades has put kind of a pause on that for me.
Mm.
Um, but Hades is kind of like right on the line of something I can't really play around my kids, but sort of not really that big of a deal.
Oh, yeah. There's really not.
It's
If anything,
it's
it's just your
cart
focus.
Yeah, it's cartoony enough, but
Mm.
yes, like my daughter was sitting on my lap and I was trying to play it the other day, and I was just like, this isn't, because I'm still to that point, Logan, where I'm not overpowered enough that I have to
Oh
concentrate,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
especially
Hmm.
like I can't walk into the lava on whatever, not Tartarus, but whatever the second level is called. I can't
Asphodel.
remember. Yeah, Asphodel. So I have to be really careful and precise there
That
still,
I
because
still have to pay attention. Yeah.
that melts my life away,
Hmm.
right? Um, so if anything, yeah, it's one of those concentration things.
Hmm.
I've sent 2 people off in Spiritfarer and acquired a few more. I did get a little bit frustrated with a resource that I couldn't find.
Mm.
So that kind of cooled me on it a little bit. I was wandering around aimlessly for like 30 minutes before I went to the internet for consult. Um,
Mm.
which
I did
which
that.
was weird because it was like everything flowed right until like
That.
that. Like I was just like, this is great. I'm on autopilot. I'm going from thing to thing to thing, and then all of a sudden it was like I got trapped in like a weird loop where I didn't have the resources to go through one of the barriers on the
Hmm.
map, and then I needed to. I did some looking, and I needed to go to a particular place beyond that barrier, but I didn't have the resource to get there, and then they wanted me like one of the resources beyond that step was at a dragon that hadn't spawned in the narrative
Mm.
yet. And so like it was like I was going in circles and I was like, I need this to do this, to do this. And then it looped back around to where, but I don't have that, so I can't do this. And it was
Mhm.
like 30 very frustrating minutes of me trying to understand what to do. And it was weird because like I hadn't felt like I needed to do that at all until I got there. And then I was like,
I got to a point where I started just because like you said, I didn't want to aimlessly do that. I just start looking up, oh, like, okay, where's that resource, just so I know where I gotta go. Uh, it was, but yeah,
maybe I will do that for time
you'll become
consideration.
very familiar with the Spiritfarer wiki.
Okay. Okay.
That's for
All
sure.
right. All
That's
right.
kind of what
Well,
I did.
I did that with Stardew. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
on Stardew all the time. So,
Mm-hmm.
and we've talked about the similarities to those
Mm-hmm.
games. That's not something I haven't done before. It's just,
Yep.
um, I would rather almost do another run in Hades if I had to choose. So, with the rush of games coming out, we'll see how that goes. But those are
Mm-hmm.
the only two things I played besides that piece of shit, whatever game it
Yeah,
was.
it's fine. All right, so on to TV. Caleb, I don't even know what in the world the thing that you sent was. What is that?
Oh, is Emily in Paris? Hold on, it's the Sex and the City producers, Netflix,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
they
you
said
got
something
it.
about
You got it.
was it Giordano's? I can't not Giordano. I can't remember. It was
Geno's
a
East.
Geno's East, and they
Yeah.
were all like their Twitter was like, "F
No,
you." There's a
no, I'm sorry. It was not Geno's. It was Lou Malnati's.
Lou Malnati's. Yeah,
Yes.
they there was that line in the show where they insult Lou Malnati's, and like
Yep.
their Twitter went super serious on him. It was like, "There's a pandemic going on. What are you throwing shade at us for?" It was like a weird 2020 thing.
The girl is from Logan. The girl is from Chicago in the
Mm,
show,
mm,
and she goes to Paris. The
mm.
name of the show is Emily in Paris.
So if
So
Emily from
Emily
Chicago
goes to
goes to
Paris.
Paris. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
And somebody is like, "Oh, I was in Chicago once. We had deep dish pizza, and it was terrible." And she was like, "Oh, you probably went to Lil Malnati's then." Just
That is some shade.
right.
Their social
Like at
media
least
went
make
hard.
up someplace. Like, oh, you went to
Right.
like Joe's or something. Like,
Yeah.
It was totally on the, like, by the time you read a little bit about it, you're like, good for you, Luminati's, because you just like you didn't have that
Yeah.
coming, and like people got jobs. Like it's hard enough to be in the restaurant business right now. Don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So
How was
you
that
called it,
show?
Jason. The showrunner he did Melrose Place and 90210 and Sex in the City, which I have not
Yeah.
watched any of those
so
shows,
any of those
but
shows? Okay, yeah.
I did watch his most recent show, Younger. I don't know if you guys have heard of that
Mm-mm.
either.
Yeah,
Uh,
TV Land.
it was on TV Land.
Yeah.
It's up in the air on if it's coming back or not, I think, but um, it's a it's a show about a girl who she wants to work in a like a hip type of place, so she pretends that she's 20 years old when she's actually 40.
Mm.
It's got Hillary Duff in it, if that if that rings any bells. But
I
anyway,
mean, I know who she is,
um,
but does not entice me to watch it now.
yeah, so I actually really like that show a lot. Younger.
Mm-hmm.
I think the premise has just enough of a tension to it to keep it going, because she's hiding her age from everybody else. I think the characters that are around her are pretty solid. They all have good moments. They all have side stories going on, stuff like that. And Emily in Paris, they try to redo that, but the tension's not really there. It's not really, she's not like hiding a secret or anything like that. It's just she's working in Paris. And also I don't think that the side characters are as interesting either. So it kind of hits some of the same notes, but I definitely think that Younger is the better show of the two.
Hmm.
So if anybody out there is looking at either one of those, watch Younger instead of Emily in Paris. But Emily in Paris is not bad either. So there you
Do
go.
you think that show will come back?
Which one? Emily in
Emily in
Paris?
Paris.
I think it probably will. I think it has a big enough viewership.
Okay.
It did pretty well for Netflix, I think.
Is this like a recent release for them, or is this
Yeah, it was. I think it was either last week or 2 weeks ago. It's really recent.
interesting? All right. Jason, you got a couple things on your list too?
Yeah. I finished McMillions. You guys are right. That sort of
Show
just
peaks
kind of
at a point.
fizzles. Yeah,
Mhm.
it is interesting to see. It is interesting to see how the scam was pulled off.
Mhm.
But um, the rest of it and the characters that they not characters. Sorry, this is a documentary. The people
Mhm.
that they
They seem like
dive in.
characters.
Yeah, because it's so absurd. I mean, it's a
Mhm.
good documentary because it's insane, right?
Mhm.
It's not Tiger King crazy, nothing is, but it is pretty nuts. Like this whole criminal conspiracy, the layers, and the organized crime element of it, I do all find kind of interesting. But then they kind of dive into uh, where, like some character assassinations, I guess. Like
Yeah.
they kind of attack the person more than the actual fraud,
Mhm.
which is fine. And I understand that this caused a lot of damage, so somewhat rightfully so. But they spend a lot of time with the sort of the star witnesses of the documentary towards the end of it, um, and it's it's okay. It's not the firecracker of the first three seasons or first three episodes that you come to expect. Um, but you know, like it's how it happened. So you can't. I don't hold documentaries accountable necessarily the same way I would like a TV show
Yeah.
because it is what it is. Like the events
Yeah.
took place and that's the way it is. So you guys were pretty much right about that. Caleb, I watched the third episode of Akadama Drive. Did you watch the third episode of that?
I
That show
did.
is. Did you?
You did?
Yeah!
I'm caught up.
Go, 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 go,
Nice.
go, go. You, Logan, you talk.
I I like that show. It's a cool show.
Yeah.
I like all the characters in that. They're super quirky, and I just wish it was dubbed in English. That's all.
It might eventually be, but
Yeah,
I
but as of
mean,
for now, it's but yeah. I
yeah.
like that show. Yeah, I'll continue that.
Cool. I'm glad you guys are watching that. That's awesome.
Just
It's crazy.
I didn't know this was turning into an anime podcast, but it did.
Yeah, I like it.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Oh, quickly.
Mhm.
Speaking of animated stuff, and I just since this is a video game podcast,
Mhm.
I watched the Mortal Kombat Warner Brothers animated joint, Mortal Kombat Legends: Scorpion's Revenge.
Mhm.
The one I wanted to bring that up because obviously it's video game related. It's the same. I'm pretty sure it's the same studio that does uh, Harley Quinn show. I'm pretty
Hmm.
sure.
Oh, okay.
Um, so
That
it's
would
that
make
same
sense. Warner
style.
Brothers, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, so they've leveraged the same studio to do what is basically like an MK1 story, which is kind of cool because
Mhm.
this piece of animated hour 20-minute thing is way better than like the movie was back in the 90s. It does a really nice job of like, okay, this is where the story begins. Sub-Zero kills Scorpion and all of his family. And then it just kind of goes from there and how that led into Mortal Kombat 1. And they do a nice job of actually introducing Sonya, Johnny Cage,
Mhm.
Jax, Baraka, Reptile. It's really full of all sorts of fan service, Shang Tsung. Like it's MK1. And it's good. It's really good. Joel McHale plays Johnny Cage.
That makes sense.
I was like listening to it. I'm like, how do I? And why is Johnny Cage so funny? It's the delivery, right?
Mhm.
Joel McHale makes him funny. And then Jennifer Carpenter of Dexter fame plays Sonya Blade. So there were two voices there. I was like, how do I know
Why do
these?
I know
These
these voices? Yeah.
so familiar. So I had to look it up. Caleb, I don't know if you would enjoy that. You might enjoy it because it's good animation. It's good American animation, not anime, but a cool art style. And it's only an hour and 20 minutes. But Logan, I think you
Oh,
might
I would be
really
all
like.
over that. Yeah, I need to
Yeah,
check that out. Yeah.
it's a good like. Oh yeah, I remember the 90s, and this is like what
Mhm.
they pictured in the 90s, right? But techniques and 4K HDR,
Mhm.
like it looks really good. Like we've come a long way, and it's good.
Mhm.
Sorry, that's my one unrelated video game TV thing. Not really TV.
Mhm.
Sorry.
Although, can we go
I,
back real quick to a? You did mention animated like Harley Quinn. Have you watched any of Harley Quinn yet?
I watched the first half of half of an episode, but I haven't watched it all. Boy, it's violent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would still highly recommend you get yourself caught up in that. That is a quick show to get caught up in, and I Caleb, I'm gonna assume that that might fall into a toady list for you.
Probably.
Yeah, it might fall into one for me.
Okay,
So
I'll finish it. It's short, so like
it's
that's
short, yeah,
not a
and
big ask.
and it's something that's up your alley too. That it
Sure.
really like. I mean, it's no Yellowstone. Don't. I mean, let's not.
I mean, I've watched people just die in all sorts of ways this year. So I mean, it's just another dreadful piece of television. Fine, sure, bring it
This
on.
this is good though. Yeah. So all right. What else you got for TV? I think you saw your list
um,
had a few things on there.
yeah, the the big show I watched this week was I Know This Much Is True, HBO's show that Mark Ruffalo won the lead actor
Oh,
award
that's right.
for.
The miniseries thing. Yeah.
6 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
He plays twin twin twins. Excuse me. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is a schizophrenic who is getting sicker as he moves into adulthood. So it's a coming of age story about these two. There are child actors in the show that are great. Actually, everybody's great. I watched it for Ruffalo's performance because
Mm-hmm. You got
I
an
wanted
Emmy
to
for
see
that.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to see it for myself. Um, I cried 4 or 5 times watching this show.
Wow.
It is an emotional, very real, very touching thing. And a lot of that has to do with Ruffalo because he's such an incredible actor. Like he's so believable. Like he is these guys to me right now until I see him in something else. Like he's just
Go watch
he's a,
Avengers. It'll be okay.
there you go. I mean that'll cleanse me.
You know-
Oh, you're the Hulk. Thank
okay,
God.
that's right. Yeah.
You're not twins. Thank God. The thing about this show is it is infinitely tragic, hard to watch, and relentless. Um, and I can't I can't recommend it really for those reasons, other than like it is very good, um, but it's a tough one. And the reason why it's tough is it makes Perry Mason look like Sesame Street. Like it is
Hmm.
these very real things that happen to real people over and over and over. And it would be absurd if it wasn't so realistically done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, yeah, that could totally happen. That's a huge bummer. Oh, that could totally happen because of these circumstances. I could totally see it. And so um, I could not stop watching it. And I was just curious. And then, boom, I was done 6 episodes later. Um, and man, I'm telling it's rough. It is rough. It might be the most depressing show I've ever watched.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think of stuff that like you know how like Logan, you said Yellowstone, which is why it's on my mind, but Yellowstone is like so self-aware. Like it's ridiculous. And it
Mm-hmm.
knows it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not trying to be. It's entertaining because it's so ridiculous. Like, ooh, that's dark. Isn't that dark? Yeah, but it's also absurd in the way that like Sons of Anarchy is absurd.
Mm-hmm. Like people
Or
don't act this way normally, but this show is like,
yes,
hey, these people, this is stuff that would normally happen to somebody, and like you could see how this would happen.
you have a sick
Mm-hmm.
family member.
Mm-hmm.
Totally reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
You've lost a loved one. Totally reasonable. Maybe there's an alcoholic person in your family. Totally reasonable. Um, so a job loss. Totally reasonable. Like these are things that happen to normal people. And it's a really interesting thing. It also later on in the show goes towards um, not not a religious thing, but like looks at life a little bit karmically. Like, do you reap what you sow? Like in the easiest definition, um, sins of the father, stuff like that is kind of examined, but it's not. It doesn't go supernatural in any way like that. It's just kind of like um, do good things happen to bad people? Do good things happen to good people? Is there a rhyme or reason to why tragedy follows some people around? Why they've have a tough run? And it kind of takes a look at that. And Ruffalo does a really good job of like do I have this coming?
Hmm.
And is some of this because of me? Is it environmental? Um, there's just it's riveting. It's really good because it's nothing fantastical about it. It's a real portrayal of a real person's life who's befalling just bad circumstance.
Yeah.
So it was good, but like I said, unless you want to, man,
You
it
want to,
and
if
I
you
would
want to go and be sad, have some sad boy times, go go watch this show.
it's
It's one of
sad,
those
man.
shows where I think I'm gonna have to say I respect the hell out of you, but you are not for me.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Mhm.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. It would. I think it would fall. I think it would fall on its face and be like, oh, come on. But Ruffalo, he just he lands it. Like he lands it. You really think like he just makes it all so believable. You know, none of it is over the top. Whereas if it was even another actor, they may struggle with. Well, this wouldn't happen, and not this too, and then this wouldn't. But since it's him, it's like you're watching him react, and then all of a sudden it goes from being like, well, this wouldn't happen to like, oh God, I'm so sorry this is happening to you, and you're watching
Mhm.
it and you wish you could do something about it. But I think it's just because he's good at his job.
Yeah, that's fair.
That was the big thing. I watched.
Yeah, you're muted.
Oh, I watched one other thing that was not great. But if anybody else has any TV, they can go.
I finished Lovecraft Country.
Oh wow,
Congratulations, that's an achievement.
unlocked.
I didn't hate it. That show is, if you take True Blood and you make it, you put it in that setting, that's kind of the
Take
style.
Harry Potter and you put it inside of True Blood.
And then you throw in like some, like there's a lot of Watchmen in there too. Like
Mhm.
there's, I mean, they go back in time to the Tulsa riots in
Yeah.
Lovecraft Country. So
There's also
there you
there's also
go.
a whole episode that's kind of mostly Indiana Jones inspired.
Yes, there is. That
It's
show,
all over the place.
that show is all over the place, and it doesn't give a shit either that it's all over the
Right.
place. And if there's a season 2 for that show, which I don't know if there is, I'd watch it.
Okay.
If that tells you anything. I don't know what's going to happen. There's really no reason for a season 2. I could see them maybe telling another story in that universe. But there's no cliffhanger. There's nothing to really say like, hey, we're gonna do a season 2 of this show, which is surprising. And almost kind of bookends it well, considering that's a book called Lovecraft Country. But yeah, that show's fine. That show's fine.
Should I watch that? Do you, like where are we at here? Because I'm continually watching things that I can't ask you guys to watch, even though I think they're great. But like, I'm not going to ask you to watch. I know this much is true, or The Plot Against America, because it's like you want to seek those things out or you don't. So
how far
like,
were you into Lovecraft Country?
one episode.
Oh,
That first episode's real good.
That's why I was so surprised that you said you fell off, and then
you ended at 3.
Logan's
right?
kind of in between.
Caleb,
I think I watched half of the fourth episode and turned it off halfway through.
Okay. 4th episode's bad.
There you go, Caleb.
Yeah. Well, I found myself like in the middle of the episode, I'm on Twitter on my phone, and I'm like, well, if I'm like bored here, why am I?
I have watched TV shows like that anyway sometimes, so I don't consider. Yeah, if I'm like half on my phone, sometimes that's just the way I consume media. Watch Harley Quinn first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you've got time, post Harley Quinn world, but that one you need to do first. And just know that show is stupidly absurd, and if you're in the mood to just go what the fuck for half of a show, There you go. It's
That might
definitely
be what I need at this point.
yeah, that's for sure. But actually, do Harley Quinn first because that one's also a what the fuck, but in a more funny way. Where this one's a why kind of way. So yeah,
Okay.
there you go. All right, what you had one more show that you were watching?
Yeah, just quickly, I'm watching the second in the Haunting series on Netflix,
Mhm.
The Haunting of Bly Manor, because I wanted some sort of like palate cleanser. And
Halloween.
I usually do watch like a Halloween, like one horror thing a year, whether it be a movie or
Mhm.
just something to kind of be in the spirit of the season.
Mhm.
And you literally some years it's like one movie and that's it, right? But um, I decided I'd watch this. Aaron and I, after our son was born, we were at home and we watched the first season of that and thought it was fine.
Mhm.
And this one's not as good so
Mhm.
far, but I also knew that going into it, and I'm not looking to have it be more than maybe a jump scare or two and be on with my life. So I will finish that, but it's definitely not something that
Mhm.
gotta see. Nope,
Yeah.
that's for me. It's like guilty pleasure thing just for me because I want to
Mhm.
watch it.
I'm not
So
a big horror guy either, so I don't
I'm not
watch.
really
Yeah.
either.
I don't.
Once or twice a year. That's it.
Mm. We watched
Don't
Beetle.
I don't do that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I watched Beetlejuice with my kids. That was a good movie. So, uh, not TV, but just in related to consuming media, I watched Borat subsequent movie film.
I was actually just gonna say I watched that too.
Uh, Not as good as the first. Still made me
Oh,
laugh
I
a lot.
disagree. I disagree
Really?
entirely. I think it's way better than the first one.
Hmm.
It actually has a plot.
Oh yeah, this one definitely has a plot. It's very good. I mean, it is, but
So yeah, I guess it depends on what you're looking for out of a Borat movie. Because if you're looking for just like ridiculous situations to laugh at, yeah, the first
maybe
one's
it was
probably
just the
more for
shock
you.
value of the first one. Like no
Yeah,
one knew what
yeah.
that was going to be and how crazy
But
it was.
as far as like an actual film goes, I think the second one is by far and away better.
Oh yeah.
It's got a through line. It's got better performances. It's got moments in it that you generally genuinely like feel good.
His
You
daughter's
feel
great.
positive about humanity
Hmm.
at points, and you feel negative about humanity at other points.
Hmm.
But I think like there's a bigger emotional component that swings further in the second movie, and the I think the plot actually as a through line is way better.
Mm.
But if you want to throw on a movie with a bunch of dudes and drink and have a bunch of laughs, then the first one's definitely for that.
Yeah, I guess I think about more of the just the quotable stuff from the first one,
Yeah.
like that, because it was just its own special thing when it came out. I mean, that thing was, and maybe it was because when you'd watch it in theaters, like it was just the whole place was just going crazy. I mean, because it was just, the whole thing was hilarious. But yeah, and this one was definitely. I mean, there was a lot of funny parts in that movie. I mean, just stuff that I was just I had to pause it because I was laughing so hard, just so I made sure I didn't miss anything. The cupcake, man, that cupcake. That's all I got to leave it as
That's
because
the part that stuck with you? Okay.
well, just like the whole
Yeah.
the
Okay.
the way that
That was the most ridiculous part for sure.
oh no. The debutante ball was the most ridiculous part.
Oh, yeah.
That was see the thing I liked about the cupcake part was the way that they went around saying everything without ever saying it. Like he kept
Okay.
coming up with insanely clever ways to say what, and I don't want to ruin it for Jason
Yeah.
because this is like because it's really good, but like the joke was always that he said the stuff without ever saying it and made it sound 100 times worse by it was incredible. I would say that scene is pretty solid for me. But yeah, Jason, you should see it,
I will watch that for sure. I'm a
and
big
definitely
enough
no
fan of the
children
first
around.
one.
I
Oh
I
yeah.
was I was expecting that movie to be absolute garbage,
I
and
was
it
too.
surprised the hell out of me.
Yeah, I went into it with very low expectations, and just thinking like, okay, because like, did you guys ever watch Anchorman 2?
Yeah, it's
That
terrible.
movie's terrible. I mean, absolutely terrible. I think I laughed maybe twice in the whole movie. It was bad. So that's that was my level of expectation for this movie. So yeah, so it did. Yeah, it's solid. Definitely
Yep.
a solid flick. So, um, anything else this week for consumption of media? Otherwise, we can move into our game of the year chat. So we decided that game of the year we're going to push out to be just beyond the first of the year. Because we want to make sure that we are able to everybody play everything. Make sure
Well,
everybody's
that's
got.
one. That's
Well,
one
there's multiple
reason.
reasons, but I
Yeah.
think that's a valid concern with the volume of stuff that's coming out in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks now. There's basically we're doing a dump of video games, and then some of those video games are going to be rather long, is what it sounds like. Because I mean, you guys will both be Assassin's Creeding it, which I'm assuming will be pretty long. Cyberpunk is going to be obnoxiously long.
I don't know if it is actually because they confirmed that it's not as long as Witcher.
Which Witcher is
So
50.
something like that. So I
I
wouldn't
mean,
be
even if
surprised
it's
if Cyberpunk was like
40,
30 or
30.
something. We'll see. I don't know.
Got a Call of
That's
Duty
still
thrown in there, a Watch
more than enough.
Dogs,
Yeah.
a Spider-Man. There's a lot of things.
Bug snacks.
A lot of there's a Kingdom
Sackboy.
there's a Kingdom Hearts rhythm
Yeah.
game thrown in there. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff getting thrown in there.
Oh no, can't forget that.
There's a Dark Pictures anthology game.
It's true.
I would like to play that.
I'll play that.
Yeah.
Yep. So the we've not only are we going to try our best to evaluate everything before we deliberate in very early January.
Yeah, we're talking early January, first week. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that what I'd like to know from you guys is how you feel about the way that we've structured deliberations. And what I mean by that specifically is, are we talking about the games enough on these individual podcasts to deliberate the way that we always do, where we come up with a list of 41, because
41
that's
best games of the year.
It's written in stone. 41
Do we have
games.
41 games this year?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm just sometimes
If we got to put Star Wars Squadrons on there, we put Star Wars Squadrons on there. But
Absolutely.
we will have
Goaty.
41 games.
Goaty Star Wars.
Things get. I mean, stuff gets cut. I mean, it's cutthroat. I mean, that first round is hard.
No, the
So
first
what
round
I
is easy.
what I think is actually good content for this podcast and a worthwhile discussion to have is whether or not we're discussing the merits of that game enough beforehand, or do we need to spend a little bit of time in December looking at that list of 41 games and explaining the majority of them, recapping them, and understanding why that they are in consideration? Because I could see, as if I were a listener of this podcast, I might enjoy listening to some ramp up to the deliberations. And we will be playing games at that same time, but beyond just the game discussion, what if we earmarked an episode or even 3 or 4 to why 1 through 10, 10 through 20, 20 through 30, 30 through 40 are on the list, and give each game its due. And then we can, when we get to that episode in January, we spend that day culling the list, knowing that we've already talked about those games individually, and we don't really need to talk about them until we get to, the top 5 and how we're really trying to, the bloodbath that will be, and how we are trying to differentiate them. That's maybe when we re-look at what some of the strengths are in those individual games, but we don't need to have that for 20 through 16 or 16 through even 10.
I I see what you're saying. I don't know if we need to do all 40 like that
Okay.
though, because most of the stuff at the end of that list is we're putting it on there to fill up the 41 spots. You know, so I don't know if it's really worth discussing in depth those games.
So when do we come up with that?
I think you
You
muted
need
yourself
it
again. I don't know how you keep hitting the button.
Sorry. I do it when I like clear my throat or when I'm gonna sneeze. So how do we deliberate or not deliberate? How do we determine, the where the gray area is of like not important to I liked this game enough to at least why not get rid of it between 40 and 20? And that's just an example, but where do we then stop, like where the serious discussion needs to happen before we remove a list? And have we talked about the merits of that game enough? That's all. I'm not really proposing anything. I don't have a plan. I'm just saying, to me, if we get to that list and we organize the 5 through 10, right? But we don't talk about any of those games, or they're games that happened earlier in the year when we weren't really doing regular recordings. Like, you know what I mean? Like Resident Evil 3. Why? And that's just an example, but I love Resident Evil 3. You guys don't like Resident Evil 3, but it's got to be here. You know how I feel about Resident Evil 3. Oh, we do. Okay. All right. We'll respect that. Here, you can have it at 10. But I've only made my case because I've had discussions with you guys that weren't on a recording. So
yeah, but I guess I'm thinking that in the way we've done it in the past, that still ends up getting out there. And a lot of times, what we do is we do the big cut, and then while each game gets cut, we say what we need to say about it. Like if we were going through and saying Star Wars Squadrons.
And then we could just say cut, and then that's all we need to say about that game.
But if there's a game that come up, trying to just think of a random game that we played. I don't know. Let's just throw Carry On in there. Like I don't think that's going to make a top 10, but we can at least say something about that game at that point in time that, yeah, it would maybe make like a top 25 or something like that, or but then we can talk about the game and hit on that. But if we think it's going to be, I think, first cut, and then once we start cutting down to 10, what's when we, after that first pass, because the first pass is always just kind of, doesn't take us too long to do that first pass, because we all know what the contenders and the pretenders are.
When we go around and it gets to the point where we all are like, well, I don't want to quick cut anything else from this list. I think that's when we start actually discussing them.
And even at that, when you go to cut the game from the list, typically it's okay, all right, I'm going to cut, gosh, what was a game we played last year that I'm just trying to think of? I don't know. I don't know. Or here, I'm just going to do one, for example, for this year. I'm going to cut Maneater because, while I see why I have fun, like this game was blah, 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 this is with this, and wish it would have been better with this. Glad it had this. Moving on. I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking. And then once we get to like that harder cut down to 10, there's more of a discussion about that game.
Okay. So the way that we've always done it then is what you guys are comfortable with?
I guess I'm just.
Well, I think.
Yeah. Go ahead.
We can purposely be more descriptive at that point. I think you're right,
but I don't
Jason,
know if we have time with that. I don't know if we have time to do that.
I think we do. What we can do is we can cut. Last year we spent a lot of time talking about games we didn't even play. Because we had our blind spots and we went through those each individually and kind of described them, and we don't need to do that this year.
I think we just rattle off the lists of like,
we could rattle off a list, and
we're not
at most,
we're not
without qualifiers.
Yeah, we just say
without like, I don't like it because of this, or I didn't play it because of this. Just these are the games that we're not going to cover here. Here they are.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we didn't play Call of Duty.
Okay.
Or like,
and then
what is the thing? What is that thing?
If we have it more in our head that we want to talk more about the games that we really like, then at the beginning of the list when we're making our first cuts, then we can be quicker about that.
Yeah, and then we can go through the list. After the first cut, I think that's when we start to talk about the games more in depth. And once we start talking about those games more in depth, then we start to make the cuts after that. Does that make sense? Because once we'll get down to a list of 20 at that point, probably. And
Do you want to cut beforehand?
I don't may I just so there's like countervailing forces, right?
Yeah.
To
Mhm.
where like the way we've always done it makes sense, and I understand what you guys are saying, but I do think that I think 10 through 20 get short shrift a little bit, where I think we will all have games that will make the top 10, and those probably won't get their due like they've always not gotten their due. But
see, I
like
feel like
that's the way it is.
I feel like games 6 through 15 get their due like no other, and then 1 through 5 barely get anything.
That could be it.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's my
it
feeling.
could go both
is
ways.
That
That's what
happens
I
too.
mean. Like I
Yeah.
think it can be. I think both things can be true, and maybe they do, but they don't get their they don't get necessarily on merit discussion, Logan. They just get a lot of time. Like they get a lot of ranking time.
Yeah, they get the
And
ranking
horse-
time, but no
horse trading.
because we've talked about them throughout the year. I think that's the thing, and so we try to, yeah, we've always tried to get it. We get a lot of it out of our way. I mean, we dedicated an entire podcast to The Last of Us Part Two. I mean, that's where to go back and recap that. We did an hour on on that.
I think I totally get what you're saying, Jason. I just don't really want to devote. I don't want to have to like equally devote time to every game on our list because I don't think every game on that list deserves the same amount of time. So
I
like
don't
what you were saying, like go 1 through 10, 10 through 20, whatever. Then we're gonna end up with what's our 40th game on the list, and we have to devote that much time to that as we do Last of Us. And to me, that's a little, I don't know. I don't really want to do that.
I don't think I don't think I want to do that, or necessarily am saying I want to do that. But I do think as you go higher on the list, why we like something is worth more discussion than something that's lower on the list.
Yeah.
That's all I'm trying to say. I'm trying to find like this gradual climb, right?
How
And
about
those games like those games that are starting to reach the apex as they're in the middle of it, I feel like maybe those are the games that we do so much shifting around in list management that we may not even discuss them, which is fine because we've started discussing them on recording halfway through the year regularly anyway. But I'm trying to figure out if it was something worth, like, do we look at the list 3 weeks out and do we discuss the list and why a game is on the list, or do we just get together that day with the list and just rank them like we always do?
What if we do like the quick cuts beforehand? So we come up with our 41 games, and then the games that none of the three of us feel passionate about leave the list, and we kind of give them their due beforehand. And that way, when we get together, we're only talking about the games that that at least one of us actually feels something for.
So yeah,
I mean that's something.
we'd probably be down to 20 at that point.
I don't know. Be curious.
Well, I think that's
And
where
I
we
don't-
usually end up ish, 20-ish, somewhere around.
And
there.
some of it I think is worth. I think it's very interesting, and also you're not going to. I do think what makes this interesting for us compared to a full-time media thing is that we do whatever we want because it's how we want to do it, and I think that we can say realistically, look, Cyberpunk is on this list. No one here's done with it. Or just an example, AC Valhalla, whatever. No one's done with it here yet. But it's got to stay because we don't know where it will land ultimately. But if Caleb's halfway through it and he likes it enough, then I think that's merit enough to leave it there compared to maybe a game that Logan and I didn't like, or Caleb didn't like, that Logan and I liked. You know what I mean? I think that can be interesting enough, and we can also be honest enough about that. Well, to be determined. And if we come to that day and it needs to go quickly, we'll get rid of it. But right now, we're still looking at that one.
I think we do that like the quick cut thing. Like, I don't know if we do that on January 5th or whatever, we do the quick cuts like the week before.
Whatever our normal podcast
Yeah,
time would
whatever
be.
our normal podcast time would be ahead of that day. Just
Okay.
because
And
it,
like you said, Jason, if it's borderline, then it stays. I think.
I would
if-
think
if
by that
you're-
point in time
yeah.
we'll know. Yeah, you're gonna know if you like something or not, and or at least it's gonna be somebody else's. It's gonna be high enough on somebody else's list that you're not gonna want to cut it. Like if we get to that point and that Dark Pictures, the anthology game, we all haven't played, or two out of the three of us have played it the week before, and one other person is waiting on it. Yeah, we can. That stays on the list. Like, or if somebody doesn't feel strong enough about it or something like that. I'm just throwing a random game out there, but
Okay. I'm okay with that.
Does that accomplish what you were trying to accomplish?
somewhat.
I'm not sure. Okay.
Not really. I mean, not all the way, but I think it's a reasonable compromise, because I also want to be respectful of your guys' time, and I'm not trying to have 4-hour podcasts. That's not my goal. I'm not trying to do more than we already do. I just didn't know if there was a smarter way to spend our time in the ramp up in the same amount of time we would be recording anyway.
I think
Not
we're gonna
doing
have
more,
yeah.
but in that time, regular time slot, is there a better way to ramp up to that, to talk about the list and talk about those games, and then even cull the list a little bit ahead of time? That was just an idea, but like I said, I don't have any solutions. Just an idea.
I think we're just gonna have a lot to talk about with all the stuff coming out during that time frame. Like, we're gonna have 3 games a week that we'll probably be talking about, plus other TV stuff. I mean, there's a new HBO show starting tonight. I don't know if I'm all about Hugh Grant, so I'm gonna be watching that. And
Is that Hugh Grant, Nicole Kidman?
Yeah.
That show?
yeah, The Undoing, I think is what it's called.
That sounds right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm just so delightfully
I heard-
British. I don't know.
I have heard that show is really bad.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you guys watch it and then you can argue about it next week. Fantastic. All right, so that's that does. I think let's plan on let's keep going in December, and let's see where we're at in December, and if we're still catching up on the dearth of games that are coming out in November, and if we're still actively playing those and want to talk about them in December, let's just continue to talk about them like we always do, with the week before, having that in mind to kind of dedicate it to where we're at with the list. And if we want to have an early discussion in the lower ranks to discuss the merit of why a game should stay or go, at least wise we can talk about that game and why we liked it, disliked it, and at least wise give it a little more attention than maybe what we have done in the past. And that's pretty much it.
The other thing too is that we haven't talked about if we're doing any other categories or not.
Yeah, I was just
that's
gonna
a
say
place
that.
where we could pick up time if we did one category or 0 categories even.
I believe last year
that's
we
a-
just did Moment of the Year, right? We have previously done Character.
We did character last year.
We did do Character last year. I thought we just
Yeah,
did
we did
Moment.
both. Because it was Red Dead Redemption, Sadie from Red Dead Redemption, right?
That would have been 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Oh, that would have been 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah,
2 years
I don't
ago.
think we did
Maybe
Character
we
of the
didn't do
Year
it
last
last year.
year.
But we could even cut Moment and then just do games, and that would definitely give us time to cover everything, I think.
I'm just trying to think if we've do we even have a yeah, we just have Moment of the Year, Game of the Year, and then each of our yeah. We had the bad video game gift exchange last year. That was
Yeah.
the other. I was like, what is this other game thing here? Oh yeah, we did that. I forgot about that.
I don't think that I do. I think we should do that on a case by case basis. Frankly, like if we feel like that there are like I think last year the reason why we didn't do it is we weren't compelled to do character. Like
There
if there's
wasn't.
not good enough,
Yeah.
if there's not a good enough character, then like why do the category at all? And
Right.
so this year, I think that that's something at least was worth examining. Like take a look at the list of games, try to remember those characters, and make sure we want to kill that. And if we want to kill it, let's kill it. You know, and it's this year would be honestly for me. If you made me choose, I'd probably choose Moment because I feel like this year is full of those. But
Mhm.
if we don't like those well enough, or if we don't enjoy those deliberations enough, then I would hear killing them. What do you guys have a gut reaction to that?
The only counter argument that I have to doing Moment is that I feel like Moment is so subjective. Like I look for things in games way differently from you, way differently from Logan, you know?
Mhm.
So like
Okay.
it's hard to come up with something that fits all three of us for Moment.
Okay.
The only other thing I would say is that it gives us a chance to really expound upon a part in the game that meant something to us and contributes a little bit more to Game of the Year and as a whole.
I think both of those things are fair. So why don't we let's say Max Game of the Year, Moment of the Year, Character of the Year, and if we feel like we want to purge one or two of those,
Mhm.
let's do it. But let's not kill those two for tonight. Is that
Okay.
fair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would much rather, like you said earlier, I'd much rather give, you know, the 6 through 15 or the 10 through 20. I would much rather give them additional time than talk about something that we kind of almost disagree on, but kind of come to a consensus anyway for fun.
Yeah, I just it's one of those things I do remember. I do look back on fondly with those because like there'll be things that we'll go into a little more detail on with a game, especially something that maybe we didn't play. So that's like that one
But
of
you
us.
could use that as your argument for the game of the year too.
Right, that's what I mean. That it's
Yeah.
maybe that's
So even if we didn't do the category, it's not like you can't bring it up.
right.
You still do, but it's just in support of your game of the year argument, not in your moment of the year argument.
Right. So, yeah, maybe just we end up spending the time there versus giving it a category.
Yeah, if you feel like you have a strong moment and you
Mhm.
made a note, like bring that up when we're deliberating that
Mhm.
game. If you feel like that there's a really amazing character in a game and why that character is strong enough to have it on a list, then maybe okay. Yeah, maybe we do it like that. We could position those arguments with those things in mind, especially because I'm with you, Logan. I do fondly look back on especially our character of the year
Mhm.
conversations. Freya won the year before Sadie, and I feel like when we all zoomed out on, didn't Freya win from God of War?
I
Or
believe
was
those were
that
the
the
same
same
year.
year?
Oh,
Like it's
sorry.
like it
Yeah,
couldn't have
yeah.
been because it was the
I don't
same
remember
year.
who won.
I think it was
Sorry, no,
Sadie won, but we did go back and forth
Yeah.
between Freya and Sadie.
Sorry, but I feel like we all came around to, like, I remember feeling like we all kind of agreed on Sadie, but Freya definitely got her due in that conversation.
Mhm.
And even I remember being conflicted in that conversation because I thought they were both so great. And that's kind of the stuff that I really enjoy about the discussions is I came in here thinking one thing, but I'm understanding another, and I'm trying to be respectful. And I think that's really where that stuff becomes meaningful, and it's fun to discuss. So,
Yeah, I'm
but
trying to
at the
find.
same time, if we bring that to that individual games argument before
Mhm.
it's removed from my top 10, then we've opened up that time because
Mhm.
those are usually 45 minutes to an hour 20,
Yeah,
probably.
something like
Yeah.
that.
So okay, I'm
Yeah,
with that. Are you
I'm
guys with that?
trying to find a compromise between everything here, between having the conversations that we really like to have, balance that with time, balance that with give
Chicken
games their
nuggets.
due. So like, where of all of those things, how can we do the most of that in a day?
And the only way I could solve that issue was if we moved the calendar up. That's where I had it in my head. This is the
Mhm.
only way to do this is if we start talking about the list weeks prior to the
Mhm.
actual deliberations, because otherwise, Caleb, it can't, like, we just can't do
Right.
it.
I guess at the same
We can
time,
play everything, but we just can't talk about it.
we've done it every year. We've done it in a day. We've
But
started
we
in.
haven't. But we've always compromised on the giving games their due part.
Mm. I think they just got them in different places because I think a lot of times in moment of the year we talked about the big games, the big moments
Yeah.
of those games. A lot of times, character of the year. We talked about Red Dead and God of War a bunch during those segments. Well, we did talk about Red Dead and God of War a lot that year because those two were going back and forth. Uh, I'm just trying to think of what last year. What was the last year's game of the year?
Oh,
Death Stranding.
come on,
Death
come on,
Stranding. Sorry,
yeah,
I.
jeez, come on, Norman Reedus fan, guy underscore one,
trying to
whatever your
trying to point to
whatever
where he
your
is up here. That's D. Uh, there he
Norman.
is. There
Is
he
he
is.
taking a shower in your box art?
I think
What is he?
so. Yeah,
What
right
is
there.
that? His ass? That's his
Yes.
ass.
And
Okay, I think that do we have a plan? We'll push the list up 1 week, and then we won't do moment and
mm,
we won't do character, but we will bring those things or any notes we have in that regard to the discussions.
mm, sure. For
Sound
now,
fair?
unless somebody has an epiphany about what we should do, I think that works.
Yeah, I'm open to other suggestions. I just don't want to have to, because Jason, in what you kind of hinted at earlier, if we pushed it out several weeks, then we'd have to talk about, because we wouldn't know at that point if games were going to be high on the list or not. So we would pretty much have to talk about each game equally, and I don't I don't know if that's even a thing.
I don't. Yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't. That's not
Yeah,
if
I think you were just trying to get to like, hey, we didn't have a podcast when Final Fantasy VII Remake came out. We did, but we just
right.
didn't. We weren't getting together really. We weren't putting stuff podcasts together. We actually think we did have a podcast about RE3. I think we squeezed one in there at one point. Um,
just what I am saying
mhm,
is I don't want to give I don't think that I have an arbitrary rule in my head, Caleb, about equal time, but I am trying to consider um, games that are maybe in the middle of the list to the high part of the list
Yeah,
and why we even like those at all. Like, yeah, I don't know if we've discussed those. I think we've honestly just slashed and burned them,
right.
and
I
that's
agree.
that's I think that's okay as long as it's okay with everyone here. But I thought it was a way that we could look at improving the discussion a little bit,
mhm.
but also I don't like I do care, but I don't. It's just kind of something that I was thinking about, and if you guys were game for it, we could do it. Otherwise, I enjoy ranking things. It's great. It's a good time. So,
Mm.
I
if
think we
we want to do
could.
that, that's fine.
I
So,
think we're the plan we have right now is good on both ends, because I think we'll still be able to talk about everything because we'll have the additional time. We'll have the extra podcast the week before and extra time because we're not doing categories. So I think we'll be able to hit everything the due to give it its due. But to do that, I think we just have to sacrifice the categories.
mm, all
Okay,
right.
because I think we can bring picture it. I guess like if you feel passionately about something and you were ready to speak to a specific part of the game and why you think that it's a little more special for this reason or that reason, or there are tidbits from each game. Like maybe we've done that in those other categories, and we can just do it there.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right.
So is that going to be like, it's December 28th or whatever, we'll slash and burn. And then when it's ever left on the list, we will talk about in detail on January 5th. Is that right?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at a calendar right now just to follow your train of thought. But yes, I think so. All right. Good check. Yeah, so that would be yeah. So are we? Yeah. So January 4th or 5th? Do we say the 5th? Sorry.
I think it's the 5th. The Monday, I think is we were.
Monday's
That'd
the
be a
4th.
4th?
Yep.
Okay.
So the 28th and then the 4th. Okay.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. All right.
Yeah, that gives us literally another week to try to play some video games.
Yeah.
Right.
Whew.
All right. Sounds good. Well, we have some sort of a plan. I'm sure. I don't know if anyone enjoyed that or not, but have a production meeting at the end of a podcast.
Content.
That's what they say.
They tell me it's a thing on the internet. Content.
Something like that.
I don't know.
All right. Well, this has been the Master of Unlocking podcast, and we will see you next week with a chicken sandwich. The new original chicken sandwich. Good night, everybody.
Right.